welcome to the most awaited L&D Next Rewired Leadership Tales, exclusively curated by the Economic Times HR World in association with LinkedIn. My name is Saumya Dubey from the EDHR World's team, and I'm going to be your host for this roller coaster session series. In the past year, 72% of L&D leaders have concurred that L&D has become a more strategic function in their organizations. Data has been shared by the LinkedIn Learning Workplace Learning Report 2022. This data insight is an eye-opener for all of us. With the growing spotlight, L&D will create and hone the super teams of the future. Needless to say, it will unite the sweet spot of people and technology. A quote by Brian Tracy, move out of your comfort zone. You can only grow if you're willing to feel awkward and uncomfortable while you're trying something new. And this quote pretty much is a great sum up for today's episode on the future of workplace learning and talent. We bring to you two powerhouse leaders who've tried something new, broken the barriers, and are here with us to share their priceless perspectives as industry and us prepare for the next curve. Joining me on the frames are Nishant Dangle, Global Head L&D and OD Talent, Welspun, and Sameer Agarwal, India Head, LinkedIn Learning Solutions and Glint. Welcome, Nishant and Sameer.
Glad to be here.
Yes, thank you so much. So let me just start with Nishant first. Nishant, like I always say, the spotlight is on you. Would love to understand from you on how your organization's perspective that L&D function has evolved in the post-pandemic world of work.
But from Welspun India perspective, I would say that, even before the pandemic hit us, the changing technologies, evolving business models, the new ways of working were influencing the way we manage people, the way we were looking at work, we were looking at skills, and the organization structure. Certainly, the pandemic accelerated the pace of work for us at Welspun. Coming to a question about how L&D and talent has evolved significantly, post-pandemic era, I would say that I see a shift and rather a stronger commitment by the top management, by the boardroom towards skilling and upskilling. Another shift I see post-pandemic world is about, the learning becoming not just a side activity, but it's actually embedded in the work itself. And especially with remote working or hybrid work, the role of a manager by coach and driving that on-the-job learning has become very, very prominent. Thirdly, I would see, the use of learning methods and greatly large organizations, many organizations are adopting blended learning methodologies for driving skilling or capability building initiatives. Use of multi-learning technologies, pedagogies, I think is here to stay. And lastly, but not the least, I've certainly see a shift in terms of, from learning, not just at the beginning, initial year of your career, but to a shift to a lifelong learning.
Absolutely, Nishant. And I think these are the stellar shifts that we really want to talk about and know more. But I'm going to shift the frame now to Sameer. Sameer, you are the data man in this conversation for us today. So is there something that you would like to highlight just in continuation of what Nishant shared?
Data man, I like that. And Nishant, by the way, totally loved your perspective and very happy to support, some of the things you said with what we are observing as LinkedIn based on the workplace learning report, Saumya, that you spoke about. So I want to start off by saying that L&D is really becoming mission critical to organizations. And why do I say that? 84% of L&D leaders in India told us that they're now being asked to play a more strategic, a more forward-looking role. And what does that really mean? Well, 91% they're helping with change management. 88% mentioned that they've focused on rebuilding or reshaping their organizations. And that's clearly strategic. And what that tells us is that the role of L&D is evolving. So from producing high quality content, which could be high impact, that still is there, but it's also about how you can really future-proof your organization. Nishant, loved the term you used around lifelong learning. And we actually seeing about half of the L&D professionals in India, 49% to be precise, telling us that their executives are concerned about the skills their employees have today as far as their ability to execute against their business strategy is concerned. That's a staggering number. And that is a business case in itself. And what we're also seeing is that the sentiment is getting mirrored as
Yeah.
far as the consumption of learning content on our platform is concerned. So over the past couple of years, there has been a 4x surge in this consumption, which clearly illustrates the need for lifelong learning. And we've obviously cut that data by Gen Xers, by baby boomers, millennials, so on and so forth. So we're seeing it across
Yeah.
all these demographics. And then, when you talk about budgets, Nishant kind of touched upon that as well. 70% of L&D professionals are telling us that they are expecting their budgets to increase this year. And that number is really at an all-time high, definitely over the past 6 years since we've been tracking this. Lastly, as far as learning methods is concerned, Nishant spoke about blended learning. We're seeing a lot of budget actually getting shifted towards digital. So 79% of L&D professionals are telling us that they'll be spending more on digital this year than they ever have before.
Wow. These were like the startling numbers. Then, like you just said, and I'm happy that I called you data man. Thank you for holding the fort there. Putting the spotlight back on you, Nishant, and I have actually tried to kind of decipher this question into two bits. One, I'm sure the audience would love to know that what are the upcoming radical L&D trends that will dominate the boardroom agenda? Like you said, it's something which is very, very important. And in cognizance of what
Yes.
Samir said, that it's mission critical now. And the second bit I want to know about, is there a reconfiguration needed for these existing strategies? So please feel free to just say one each for them.
Yes, I certainly see the boardroom agendas around learning, talent, and largely around the people's strategies. We're revolving around, and largely also around culture. I'll put it like that, and culture around, how to thrive and grow kind of in a volatile environment, especially the world that has emerged post-pandemic. Everybody, obviously resiliency has actually become a base skill now,
Yes.
but how do we emerge stronger by staying resilient and absorb the shocks of uncertainty? I think it certainly is a critical skills, and these conversations around becoming an anti-fragile organization or building a learning organization actually is necessarily propelling learning professional to reconfigure their existing learning strategies. So from a learning strategy perspective, some of the important things that we need to take care of, where keeping in mind the boardroom discussions, is around building, I would say, a large scale change management intervention around innovation or culture of agility. And these are not just training programs that one time event, but this is actually a large scale change management initiative. And that's how there's a shift from a training to a intervention,
Yeah.
large scale intervention.
Absolutely. And I think that is the start of the movement, Nishant. So thank you for taking us through these pillars in your journey. I think that really helps our audience in understanding. And I'm going to quickly move to now Samir once again. Just in continuation of what Nishant shared, that our scalable L&D strategy is vital to help employees upskill, also build a strong business. Samir, one take on this, that how can this be planned considering the volatile times that we are living in?
When you talk about scalability, you're really talking about why scalability in the first place, and you're talking about the rapidly evolving skills, you're talking about the rapidly evolving businesses. And yes, when you add this layer of volatility, uncertainty in the equation, it becomes an even more complex problem. So number one, I believe blended learning, and Nishant kind of touched upon it earlier in the conversation, is really the way to go. Why do I say that? Well, we're talking about building hybrid workplaces. I think that's where we're heading. Now, if you're building hybrid workplaces, well, our learning or the way we are asking our people to learn has to kind of mirror that, right? And that really should compel L&D professionals to think about what that right mix between instructor-led or physical and digital learning is, right? Something that'll give them
Yeah.
maximum ROI and effectiveness. The second really is around how do you bring learning in the flow of work, right? And again, the how behind bringing it to the flow of work is to make it more personalized, more social, and more integrated. Now, you might ask me why personalized? Why
Yeah.
personalized? Because I need something that I can apply and I need it right now. Why social? Because, well, people learn from people, but people also learn with people. And by the way, when people learn with people, that's more effective. And
Absolutely.
why integrated? Can take an example here. Let's say I want to watch a good movie. Today, I don't really care whether it comes from Netflix or Prime. I want to watch that good movie.
Yeah,
And
that's
digital learning is not dramatically different, right? And what we're observing is that the world is evolving to a place where the platform which is helping me discover that content that I need in that moment is sometimes even more important than the content itself, right?
that's
So
true. Yeah.
those are some of my perspectives. Blended learning is one. What's that mix, and making learning more personalized, more social, more
Wow, that's absolutely true, and I just couldn't agree more on that. But I'm just moving the frame to Nishant now. Nishant, what is your take on this? And yes, one prime take.
Scalability is important because it promotes sustainability and enhances the adoption of learning intervention. And I would like to
Absolutely.
rather be more controversial also, which is from the scalability perspective, which is,
Yes.
I think, stronger, more empowered teams at the
Yeah,
business level.
absolutely. Nishant, I think that is one thing that you've really highlighted very, very beautifully. And I love the controversy bit because that is pretty much a scoop on this session. But I'm going to shift the frame again to Samir on something as we're approaching towards the end of it. And I know it might be a really hard question, but if you could sum up the future of L&D in a word, what will it be?
That's simple. That word would be now, as in the future of L&D is now, and
Oh
just
my
with a
God.
lot of inspiration from Nishant.
Absolutely. I love this camaraderie that's kind of building as we are into this session.
Oh, I think, Soumya, that's very tricky, but let me attempt. I envisage it as shifts. So, I would say a shift from evolution to it's time to revolutionize learning. It is shift from just one-time learning to a lifelong learning, and from a classroom to a blended learning solution. So that's how I would put it.
My
I know
God.
it's sentence, but that's how I
Yeah,
would
yeah,
see
I'm
in
going
the
to
future.
take that. Just adding the commas and making it a sentence. Thank you. Thank you so much for that, Nishant. And this brings me to the end of the session. But before, it is a talk show, like I said. And how can I let go of my speakers without a rapid fire? Samir, I'm going to start with you very quickly. I'm really eager to know what are you learning these days?
So, well, I'm actually picking up a couple of skills on a platform which goes by the name, well, LinkedIn Learning. So,
No prizes
so
for
couple,
guessing that.
no prizes for guessing that. So, a couple of things. One, I'm doing a course on just understanding the metaverse a little better, NFTs, and so on. The other thing I'm learning is how to overcome overthinking. Fantastic course.
Wow, that's amazing. That's really nice. I think the audience has definitely taken this down. Nishant, what are you doing these days?
I'm sharpening my coaching skills, so I'm pursuing a certification there. And parallelly, I've taken up. I believe in on-the-job learning. So I've taken up an additional assignment responsibility on the job. So I'm looking at apart from my L&D role, I'm looking at interim L&D head role for flooring business, which is one of
Wow.
Welspun newest business. So I'm double hatting currently, and I'm trying to that's how to manage that, and between both. So I'm looking at coaching and I'm looking at acquiring a business skill parallelly
That's
to what.
amazing. And you both are the stalwarts. So even I have some questions, and let me just shoot that very quickly. We all love giving feedbacks, but I have tried to tweak this one into what is going to be one feed forward on how technology will further disrupt L&D. And let's make it one statement to close. Samir, let's begin with you.
Sure. So I really think we need to bring learning in the flow of work and technology that can establish those connections
Yeah.
and create those immersive experiences. What I would look for, whether it's metaverse, whether it's nano learning, I don't know, but something.
It is something that is so true. Yes, Nishant, what is your one sentence on that?
Technology, I would say just make it immersive, as Samir said, and certainly make it agile so that it can work across the platforms, and a platform, a technology that aggregates the learner at the center,
Yeah.
and brings learning around it, whether it's from classroom, whether it's from coaching, whether it is MOOCs, or whether it is some of the other coaching initiatives that he this thing. So I think that is very important going forward.
That's the essence, actually. And thank you so much. I really loved the use of these adjectives, these words, because they somewhere really define the journey for us. And can I just say that did the last 15 minutes just fly by? Because they really did for me. What a lightning conversation was this. I enjoyed it to the bits, and I hope our audience did it too. So, a big thank you to you, Nishant and Sameer, for being so candid and spontaneous. I loved your energy. This conversation really went higher and higher with each passing minute. But for our audience, with this, we're going to wrap up, but with a promise to be back very, very soon. And as they always say, your desire to change must be greater than your desire to stay the same. So I'm going to leave you all on this note. Have a fantastic day ahead. Stay safe and thank you so much.